You're listening to Talking Hoosier Baseball,
a podcast by fans
from the IUBase.com website
for anyone wanting more information on the Indiana University baseball program.
All right, welcome. We're recording this on Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. I'm Josh Bennett, joined by the master of the RPI, Carl James, and the man whose lifetime of Mets fandom had him properly prepared for a tough sweep this last weekend, Chris Feeney. Cass has the night off. So I'll get tonight's pod started by giving you a quick recap of what was really just a tough weekend over in Columbus, to say the least. Game 1 on Friday night had Tommy Summer on the bump for the Hoosiers. Tommy went 5 innings, allowing 3 earned runs with 5 strikeouts. In a game without much offense, Colbar did manage to hit his first home run of the season and was the only multi-hit Hoosier on the night. John Meduno pitched 2 scoreless innings in relief, and Braden Scott also pitched a scoreless ninth. But just not enough offense led to a 3-2 Hoosier loss to start the 4-game series.
I think emotionally, you lost that Sunday game at Michigan State, played fine. You lose your Friday game at Ohio State, played fine. Didn't play great, didn't play bad, played fine. And it's a close ball game. You have a chance late.
Unfortunately, it got worse in Game 2, the first of Saturday's doubleheader. Over a dozen scouts were on hand for the matchup between McCade Brown and Seth Lonsway. Lonsway stole the show. He went the distance in a shortened 7-inning affair while striking out 17 Hoosier batters en route to a 6-0 Buckeye victory. IU managed only 2 hits while committing 4 errors. Brown allowed 2 earned runs in 4 innings with 6 strikeouts. Braden Tucker allowed 1 run in 2 innings of relief. It was the first time the Hoosiers have been shut out since Illinois back in 2019.
You know, the Saturday game where the Lonsway kid actually recruited him at Wright State. It's a great kid. He threw great, and we emotionally lost control, and ultimately that's my responsibility as a coach to prepare them better than that, to not lose kind of their emotional control. It does happen in the course of the season.
Ty Bothwell got the start in the nightcap. Ty pitched 4 2/3 innings and gave up 3 runs. The Hoosiers trailed 5-2 heading into the ninth and managed to get the go-ahead run to the plate before the rally was squashed. Grant Machaki and Cole Barr had home runs for the Hoosiers. In the finale on Sunday, Gabe Bierman got the call and put in what was by far the best starting pitching performance of the weekend.
You've got to be able to come into the ball game and throw a fastball first strike. Which you look at Sunday with Gabe Bierman, who was terrific, absolutely terrific. His adjustment from the last 2 weeks was sensational, where he really commanded a fastball, dominated with a fastball, and was able to really put people on their heels. And so you've got to be able to come in and locate and command a fastball and make somebody hit it.
He pitched 7 innings for the Hoosiers, allowing 1 run, and that was even unearned. So IU's first lead of the weekend occurred when Jeremy Houston hit a bases-loaded ground ball that the shortstop couldn't handle cleanly and allowed Machaki to cross home. 2 more runs were scored in the 8th to make it a 3-1 IU lead, only to see OSU answer back with 2 of their own in the bottom half, which eventually led to them walking off the Hoosiers in the 9th to complete the 4-game sweep. Grant Richardson had 2 hits in the game, which incredibly was only the second multi-hit game for the Hoosiers all series. So obviously not what we wanted or expected to see over the weekend, just really tough. IU managed 18 hits in the 34 innings with 46 strikeouts. The big picture damage was the Hoosiers dropped from 1st to 4th in the Big Ten, which puts them 2 games back of red-hot Nebraska with OSU and Michigan in between. So now we'll wash our hands of all that, and I'll get us started with my Hoosier highlight. I'm going to give Drew Ashley's streak one more shout-out. As I'm sure you all know, his 39-game reach base safely streak ended in Friday night's game in what was a typical Drew at bat. Drew's been an outstanding leadoff man for this team. He does all the little things, which usually includes seeing as many pitches as possible, which in turn leads to taking some close pitches and getting behind in the count. Not too many guys can succeed giving away some pitches like that. So in the at-bat, with the streak on the line in the 7th inning, Drew's batting with the runner on first and takes the first strike. Pitcher throws over to first. Next pitch is a foul ball, putting him behind 0-2 right out the gate. He fouls off the next 2. Pitcher throws to first, another foul. Next pitch is a ball, fouls off the next, takes the ball. And then they finally get him to strike out on the 9th pitch of an at-bat when he started off 0-2. It didn't work out that time, but I can't tell you how many at-bats just like that we've seen over his career with him winning a great number of those. So that's my Hoosier highlight. Carl, what do you have?
For me, I've really got to call out Gabe Bierman. That performance on Sunday was excellent. 7 innings pitched. He only gave up 3 hits. The 1 run was unearned. He only walked 2. He struck out 5. It was more like the Gabe Bierman we remember from the early part of last season, and I think it's critical for this team that all of the starting pitchers have been able to produce that really good performance and have that confidence going into the back half of the season. It's going to be important. While pitching clearly isn't this team's major issue, it is the team's rock right now and the team's foundation. And the last piece of that was Gabe, and to see Gabe there against a good quality Ohio State team, even given how tough the overall weekend was, I think was quite positive. Chris, what do you have for us?
All right, thanks, Carl. First off, nobody got hurt, from what we understand. It's a big Hoosier highlight for me. From what I heard, nothing wrong with the bus. It successfully got to Columbus and back, which was a good thing. There wasn't many. It was definitely a good first week for our little Hoosier highlight switch up now that pro baseball has started. And what I'm going to be trying to do is give us some pro baseball and high school Hoosier highlights, on the pod every week. So it's in part, not only did not everybody get hurt, but we got some great pro Hoosier highlights to go over. Aaron Sleggers, they had him out there on opening day. He was the first bullpen piece they used for the season, and he's pitched 4 times altogether. He's got 4 innings pitched with just 3 hits allowed and 4 Ks. So Sleggers is really showing out for his bullpen. Caleb Barriger, he's only got 0.2 outs, okay? He's only gotten 2 outs. He's already got another win. This guy's like a win magician, all right? He's 6-1, Caleb Barriger. How are you 6-1 already? I don't know. It's pretty wild. Another opening night, little heroics. Alex Dickerson came in down 1 in the 9th inning and hit a pinch hit game tying home run. So that was obviously a big Hoosier highlight for the week. Another announcement that we heard, Scott Rowland is going to be throwing out the ceremonial first pitch at the Cardinals home opener to Nolan Arenado. I'm not a big Cardinal guy, but I guess it's worth mentioning that Hall of Fame soon to be, hopefully, and Cardinals Hall of Famer Scott Rowland will be throwing out that first pitch. We also had some alumni announcement, and it's from a player that I feel like I overlooked a lot when he was here. I have no problem saying it. For whatever reason, I just felt like I overlooked how he did for this team, and he was a rock. He really was a solid guy on this team. Scotty Bradley retired early this week, and just to go over some of the stuff he's had, he was all big freshman. He made the all big second team his next 2 seasons after he missed that year for injury. There was a lot of big moments from Scotty Bradley, and another a big one that I remember. I don't know how he was wearing these long sleeves during this game, but I know he had some issues with the sun and stuff. But he hit that 2-run bomb in the first inning against Texas A&M. I think that inning went into like 9-0. But when he hit the home run, I think it was only like 2 or 3-0. Scotty Bradley was a big piece for this team for years, right? He was a solid rock in the field. He had tons of big hits, and I feel like I overlooked him at times. Maybe he wasn't the flashiest guy, It's just the way he carried himself. He was a pro, and he really gave great interviews. If you go back into some of his interviews, his IQ, his baseball IQ, and he sent a little note out on Instagram. I just want to read it. Baseball has provided me opportunities of a lifetime, but none more important than the chance to meet so many amazing people. It's been an incredible journey playing this game, and I want to say thank you to everyone I was lucky enough to meet along the way. Excited for life's next chapter. And Scotty, we were lucky enough to meet you, and all the Hoosier highlights you gave us, I say thank you. Okay, and we're going to kick this over to Carl to get an assessment of the damage that the 0-4 weekend gave us. Carl?
Thank you, Chris. All right. Yes, it was definitely a tough week, and the standings have don't look that great right now. Now the good news is, despite that, we're only talking about Indiana being down 2 games in the standings, and right now you've got Nebraska on top, 2 games ahead of IU. You've also got Michigan a half game back in Nebraska, and Ohio State is now, after the series, half a game ahead of Indiana. So you really you really have these 4 teams right now, mostly near the top. And with the exception of Indiana and Ohio State, there really hasn't been a whole lot of mixing up among these teams. Most of that's going to happen. Well, a little of it's going to happen this coming week with Ohio State and Michigan. But the bulk of these teams mixing it up is all going to happen in May. All right, so this is the power ranking sheet that I've come up with, and it is in the power rank order. And I take 3 factors, and I'm going to gradually adjust the weighting over the course of the season. D1 is referring to D1 baseball's initial preseason rankings. And like I said last week, I still look at preseason rankings because this is the core talent analysis that's been done by the experts. And as you can see, it's not exactly in line with how performance has been. But you got to have some factoring for strength of schedule, and also the fact that does a team have the talent may speak to how well they can finish the season. So a team that is struggling along the lines of Penn State may not quite have the talent to dig out of it, while a team like Maryland, who is doing better now but still only 9-7, may have more of an opportunity to move along, and that's why they're a little bit higher than what you would think. But so that's I have that as 25%. The Big Ten ranking itself is 50%, so just where you are in the standings. And then another 25% is the RPI. Now, when I talk about RPI, I'm going to make this distinction. I have RPI here because RPI among the Big Ten teams is an important factor, and it is something to look at. One thing I do not look at is RPI rank nationally. So when it comes to, okay, this team is 50th in the RPI, this team's 100th, meaningless, doesn't mean a thing. No games are played outside of the league. However, I look at that RPI ranking and then from that generate a rank from within the Big Ten. So in this case, Ohio State was already really good, and a sweep of Indiana helped that even further. But look at Iowa. Iowa is second right now in the RPI due to how they've played. Now, I expect that RPI is going to gradually line up with the B1G line as we get closer to the end of May, because the schedule is going to balance, something it doesn't do in a normal year. The schedule will balance out as everybody gets a chance to play everybody. Now, it may not be 100% balance because you do have some distinctions. Indiana still has 2 more games with Ohio State, despite having already played them 4 times. So you have some disparities where, hey, you play Ohio State 6 times, but you only play Purdue 3 times, and you play Penn State 4 times, but you only play Michigan 3 times. So, but even then, most of those things work out. And if you go to the very far right corner, you'll see the predicted, and I'm not going to go through this whole algorithm how I came up with this, but I have the predicted opponent win-loss at 490, very close to 500, which everyone's going to be pretty close to that once we get to the end of a balanced season. And now it's time to hand it over to Chris to give out this week's hardware. We do that every week, even if it's a sweep. Chris, give out those red belts.
Thanks, Carl. We haven't had I was trying to find an 04 sweep red belt handout. I can't remember one. I feel like, at least because maybe we might have got swept in the series, but we won the midweek game. This might be uncharted territory for talking Hoosier baseball. I think it might be. I'm not positive. An 0-4 week.
I've got one. Not an 0-4 week, but we do have an 0 for week.
Oh, no, there's been 0 for weeks because you get swept on a 3-game series.
Or the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, or the weekend in Minnesota, or there was other ones, but 4 is rough.
Yes.
Okay. 4 is rough. That's like, you lost the real Major League Baseball series you got. So you didn't even get the gentleman's sweep. We didn't even get one out of it. But, what can you do? It was 2 1-run games and Lon's way and then the other mess of a game. But it happens, right? So we got the red belts to give out. Joey Donato Award. You touched on him earlier. It's the most obvious pick, I think, of the season. It's Gabe Bierman. Okay. He was, he faced the minimum through like 4. He only gave 3 hits the whole game. He was sharp from what I could hear. Just the one run over 7 innings. From some of the video clips I saw, he really looked like he had some mojo out there, some confidence, really good body language that I don't think I've seen from Gabe as much so far. I could be wrong because, we're not getting so much video clips and stuff, but he really seemed pumped up out there. He seemed that he was, I don't know if it was an honor to him or he realized it was his job to stop this, right? Like, no, this isn't going past me, not on my watch type stuff. He really did. He really did put his foot down. He left the game. He was winning. He did all he could do. But the Joey Donato will go to Gabe Bierman. The Tony Butler Award is going to go to Hunter Jesse for his catch down the left field line. From what it sounded like, he really was smart about it too. He kicked his feet out first. He protected his body. Still was able to make the play. Really good call from the play-by-play. And for those who saw it, I tried to check in and make sure I wasn't fooled by the broadcaster, but sounds like it was one hell of a play for Hunter Jesse. So he collects the red belt. And the last one was really hard because you're looking at, you're basically saying, what was the biggest hit of the 4 games? And there wasn't very many, right? All right. The best hitter of the 4 games. There wasn't too many. So now we're looking at the Alex Dickerson Award. Now, Alex Dickerson himself had a bigger hit than this whole team did basically in the 4 days because of that tying, on opening day. But for a couple of factors, we're going to go Grant Machaki. Okay, number one, 11 batters faced Seth Lonsway, and only 1 did not strike out. Grant Machaki. Now, not only did he do that, but he homered during the series. He had some good ABs during the series. He scored 2 runs. I feel like he really had some long at bats. He stood out to me in what was a mess of a 3 days with 4 games. Grant stood out to me as maybe coming around at the plate. I don't think he played Friday. I think that's when he came back on Saturday, if that's what it was. But I like his at bats, and Grant's going to get the award for that. So we're going Hunter Jesse, Gabe Bierman, and Grant Machaki for this week. Red Belt Awards. And I have totally forgotten who to send it to.
Wait a second. It's going to be me for the
My fault.
for the preview, but I switched views so that it'll be easy to cut.
All right. So we're going to the preview.
Yep.
All right. Who the hell are we playing? Illinois.
Yep.
At the park. All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right. So for hopefully some better red belts for this upcoming week, we're going to hear from Carl for a preview of Illinois for this weekend's game at the Bart. What do you got, Carl?
Thank you, Chris. Yes. Illinois is currently 8-10 on the season. They're in 10th place in the Big Ten standings, 6th in the RPI, and they were 6th in my power rankings as well. Their only series win was taking 3 of 4 from Minnesota. That's not distinctive. Their most impressive performance was a pod split in a pod with Michigan and Michigan State. They split with both teams. They've lost a series to 3 teams with winning records, but they have avoided sweeps in all 3 cases. Illinois scores 6.6 runs per game, and they give up 7.2 runs per game. Conversely, IU scores only 4.6 runs per game and gives up just 3.2 per game. As Casey Stengel once said, good pitching will always stop good hitting, and vice versa. So the team with the edge here is obvious. When D1 Baseball analyzed this team in the fall, they thought the strength would be pitching and defense. Fielding is strong as expected, but a team ERA of 6.53 has not been what Coach Dan Hartlib was hoping for. The strongest pitcher statistically has been Nathan Lavender, who has a sub-1 whip in 16 innings and 5 appearances. He was just put into the starting rotation last week against Nebraska. He went 4 innings, giving up 1 earned run, 5 hits, and 1 walk while striking out 6. This pitching staff, let's just say, has a lot of question marks at this point. The Bats have produced, however. The Illini have 7 guys with significant playing time, hitting above 290. 3 of them have an OPS north of 1,000. Brandon Comia is hitting .403 with 6 doubles, 2 bombs, and 9 walks. Catcher Jacob Campbell has been coming on lately. While only playing in just over half of the Illini's games, he is hitting .371 and has 3 jacks. Third baseman Jackson Raper leads the team in home runs. He has 6 on the season. As far as weather goes, Saturday is the big question mark in Bloomington with weather, as rain is in the forecast. So please keep up with @IUBase17 on Twitter. We will let you know if there are schedule changes due to weather. There is no question that this past weekend was rough. For this week's roundtable, I guess we just want to talk about how representative do we think what the Hoosiers displayed in Columbus is for this year's team. Josh, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, Carl, that's a tough question. Many ways I could go with that. I want to say that maybe this all could be traced back to the Purdue series, which started the COVID issue with the coaches. In that series, they had a 2-1 game and even dropped one, which surprised all of us. And since then, pretty much everyone on the coaching staff has had to miss a bunch of hands-on time with the players. You mentioned in coach's presser today that he said last week's practices weren't that good. So maybe their heads weren't where they needed to be, and maybe that could have had something to do with it. And maybe when Lonsway smacked them in the mouth, they weren't ready to respond, weren't in the right frame of mind. We know we didn't see the better teams in the first few weeks, and without playing our normal pre-con schedule, which is usually against strong competition, it's tough to say if this is a aberration or it's what we should be expecting. I would have to lean on the former. I think this team has too much talent not to compete.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that assessment's spot on. The one thing you can notice is among the teams at the top, at least for now, it's the teams that have the pitching that have managed to do well so far. And the thing is that, 2 teams with good pitching met up and one team came out a lot better than the other did. So I don't think the bats have to be fantastic. It may be very well that over the course of a season, this IU pitching staff is the best in the Big Ten. And
Not at 5 outs an inning.
Well,
No pitching staff is going to be good at 5 outs an inning, Carl.
that's a good point.
This whole series was errors. Okay, we can sugarcoat it all we want. We made bad plays in the field over and over and over again. We had 5 errors in one game. Okay, we lost 2 one-run games and played terrible. If we would have played mediocre, we could have split the series.
Yeah.
So no pitching staff can give up 4 outs and inconsistent. Once in a while, you bear down, you put your head down, you don't even look at the guy who made the error, you don't show him up, and you punch out the next guy once in a while. But it can't be all these errors in the field. Mental errors. We could have had a lot more errors that were there on paper too. I feel like there was some, questionable decisions in the field as well. Errors. Okay, I feel like that was what the series was: decision making, execution. I don't know if they pitched terrible. I don't really know if they did. And this staff we knew was halfway good. All right, they're going to be the hardest team we faced. Right? You can't play the worst you have all season against the hardest team you faced, or you get swept 4-0 every time.
Yeah, which we haven't seen the errors up until this weekend.
Oh no, not at all. This was
They've played
I
clean.
couldn't believe it.
So maybe it was a head thing.
I don't know, but this wasn't hard to figure out. When you have more errors than you have hits, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not fair to this pitching staff.
There is one thing the pitching staff can improve upon, I think, overall, and that is the free bases. And it's something as I asked the coach earlier today. This is the first time in Mercer's era that IU is walking more than they are being walked. That is happening right now for this season. And a lot of the walks are coming at extremely inopportune times. When they're piling up, you're walking a lot of walks with nobody out. And I've actually seen some statistics on it. It's actually pretty eye-opening. And a lot of IU's walks have come at really inopportune times. And I actually
not that there's an opportune time for one though.
But
yeah, but when they're leadoff walks, it's going to bite
even
you
worse
almost every time.
Yeah.
Essentially,
You're right. You're right. The
leadoff
leadoff walk scores most of the time. That's true.
They gave up 8 runs this weekend because of walking people. That is the way I
So
look
there you
at
go.
it.
Okay, so then put a little more on the pitching than we should, but then I'm saying with the plays in the field, but it got ridiculous after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't the team we're used to watching. You know, the strikeouts, yeah, that's kind of the team we're used to watching. They're having a hard time on Friday. Okay, that was a close game. You know, it could go either way, but maybe that's where I'm not putting enough on the pitching is the pass balls and the leadoff walks, but. I don't know, man. I don't feel like the pitching had the defensive setup behind them the way it's been. You know, there's been none of this all season. There's been none of this last season.
Oh, yeah. But like you were saying, hey, if we do one thing right, okay, we don't walk leadoff guys, we don't commit errors, or the offense hits just a little bit better, and that's easily a 2-2 weekend.
Right. Well, that was what bothered me Sunday night when we were talking. And we were like, oh my God, you know, it was so bad. It was so bad. Yeah, it was so bad that we almost split. You know what I'm saying? But that to me is like a tease. That to me is even worse. Sometimes I'd rather get smoked 15 to nothing or whatever. Don't let me know I lost because of a dropped ball in the outfield or a mistake made at second base or because of the wrong cutoff man. That's like we have that. This is the strength of our team. It's supposed to be not a weakness.
And they're going to need some time probably to over the next couple of weeks when the competition isn't quite as good to get the bats fired back up to make this big run in May, which is, they're just going to have a fantastic May if they're going to try to pull out winning the league at this point.
But you know what? You were going to have to say that if we would have split this series or if we had a 1-3-1.
Yeah.
Because the way this thing is backloaded, there is the conference is over, the season is over. We're down 2 games with 20 something to play. There's obviously plenty of time.
Yep.
This was, if it's going to happen, if this mess was going to happen, let it happen on the day of the calendar it did. That's my only bright side if you want to make it one. Because you do this 4 weeks from now, you're done. There's just no way to come back, right? I mean, and then your confidence is shot. That confidence is going to be wavering this weekend, whether you see it or not. How could it not? Like, wait a second. Look at that week that we just played. I understand baseball, forget yesterday. But how many yesterdays can you forget when you've lost 5 in a row? It's going to sit there. It's going to be on your mind. To me, that's obvious, right? And hopefully we come out hot, and just playing smart and playing good baseball. And I'm not even looking for like a beat down Friday night. I know we went to that a couple of weeks ago trying to get the Friday guy. Play a game. Play me a game. Get me the lead in the 8th this time and lock it up this time. Because we almost did that Sunday, right? We played the clean game. Then I got a little shaky towards the end. Seal the deal on Friday. Let these guys take a deep breath going into the rest of the weekend.
Are we even to the point of the schedule where we'd be playing conference games yet?
We would have, we
Maybe 11 and 7, yeah. Usually we play what, 14?
late March. Late March is
we're just right into what realistically for these guys would be the start of conference play.
Yep.
To where they could have ironed some of this stuff out maybe, or been in some pressure situations against better teams, or even had midweeks, to tighten some things up and experiment. We haven't had that luxury.
Yep.
Which
And
the whole
how often are they
conference
even
has, and
practicing? Who knows?
I
Right?
don't know.
Well, and also you just don't. He talked a bit about that. They basically did a full-fledged coach pitch scrimmage this week already. But I
Already
think,
this week.
yeah. But part of that, to the point Josh made right there, is that, look at it. It still hasn't been solidified. Who's DHing, who's playing right field on a consistent basis. That has not been solidified yet. And here we are in the meat of the conference season. So
I feel a couple of little pieces like that's not the end of the world. Let the DH have an opportunity to get guys on the field because you never know when one of your major pieces is going to go down and you're going to have to use a bench piece all the time. I don't mind. We talked about it again last week. Like the right field is not figured out. The DH isn't figured out. I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world. We know who the core guys are, and like I texted you guys, sure. Do I wish we had a Paulie Milto and a Matty Lloyd and all these guys? Because I know that team that was led by those guys came back. No, there's plenty of time for this team to come back too. But it was just you know what though? It probably shows that we've had a consistently good, smart team for a while now, where a weekend like this sticks out so much.
Yep.
It's like, what are we doing? And then everybody's tweeting it. What are we doing? Can we start over? Like the games just got so bad. They took the lead every single game in the first inning, and it just got ridiculous until Gabe got out there. Gabe, it was really one of those not on my watches, man. I really felt that from him, and it really would have been nice to close that out. I don't remember what his pitch count was. He probably had to come out of the game by that point.
It was 95, I think.
95.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sure he had to come out. Could I question why we didn't have our back of the bullpen guys come in then? Sure, I did it then. It wasn't a second guess; it was a first guess. And did it pay off? No, it was a mistake because it didn't happen, right? If Madungo gets it done, it's a great move, right? Oh, what a great job! But it was the first guess. When I was at the Easter thing and I looked at it, that's who came in. I was surprised.
Yep, I think it's the first time he's made 2 appearances, isn't it? In a series.
He pitched Friday also, but he pitched well, right?
Yeah,
he's gone deep in single games, but I didn't think he's actually made 2 appearances. I could be wrong on that.
We were 6 outs away,
much
right?
as he's out there, it seems like he would have had to, but maybe not. I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Gabe pitched the whole 7 innings, right? He didn't come out for the 8th.
Correct. That is correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't because I remember I was at the Easter party. I was following my phone by then on the dots or whatever, the robots, and I was losing track. Like, why isn't Litwicky coming in? Like, give him 6 outs. He never pitched like in 2 weeks. We need this game. Like, where is give me Connor, give me somebody to just shut some stuff down here. And we went to a freshman with not a lot of experience under his belt, which was surprising to me. It didn't work, obviously. Maybe we got 6 outs from the stud would have been fine with me to get that game. I thought it was a real important win that we needed, but there's plenty of games left.
Yep.
Well, that will do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. Read up on Indiana baseball at iubase.com. Follow us on Twitter at CUAtTheBart and at IUBase17. On Instagram, IUBase. And subscribe to the Talking Hoosier Baseball channel on YouTube featuring these video podcasts, game clips, game day media availabilities, and more. For Carl James and Chris Feeney, I'm Josh Bennett. We look forward to the day we can see you all at the bar.